Back in 2005, 2006, there were only two kinds of MMO players. Ones that had parents who believed in them, saw a future in them, and trusted them enough with a $15 a month World of Warcraft subscription. And then you had the ones who heard something along the lines of $15 a month? Did you say a month? Go to your room. And me, I was in that second group. But you know what? I clawed and scratched my way to a $6 a month subscription. And here we are, nearly 20 years later. In a lot of ways, RuneScape has become a part of me, teaching me life lessons, being a go-to comfort game at all sorts of stages in my life, blessing me with one of the greatest jobs in the world. I didn't get to experience that $15 a month path, but I think this might be the greatest $6 my mother ever spent. But I have always wondered, what if she did make that $15 sacrifice? You know, where would I be? Who would I have become? But thinking about what ifs doesn't do us any good, okay? We're here, this is where we are now. It's all that matters. This is where I'm at, it's where I'm staying. I like it here. Oh, 1 second, sorry. It ain't $6 anymore, I'll tell you what. It's inflation. And if inflation's done this to a $6 subscription, I can't even imagine what a $15 one's looking like nowadays. Huh. Weird. It's $2.50 more. Why is that a big deal right now? Mom, please, you don't have $2.50. Yes, the video is sponsored. I don't see what that has to do with anything. I'm not gonna ask them to pay for it. That's not how that works. That's inappropriate. Who's the sponsor? It's Covalence, the online technical trade school. You remember them, right? Yeah, they're cool. They've got their Catalyst program. They can turn you into a full stack web developer from the ground up. These dudes are the magicians of coding. No, my viewers aren't gonna go into debt. It's the most affordable it's ever been. They got this Covalence Plus program now, 39 bucks a month. You get all access pass, their full catalog. It's like 400 hours of content. Yeah, you get to become a part of a dope coder community. It's like the smartest people crammed into a Discord. They've got a Discord. Do you know what a Discord is? You gotta look that up. Yes, you can ask as many questions as you want. You can pester the entire Covalence team on Discord. They always say cool stuff like don't just browse the web, build it. I like when they say that. My link, it'll be in the description when I post the... You want me to explain what my QR code looks like? Black pixels arranged a certain way in a square formation. Just use my code WOWJIMMY. Look, $2.50. Like, this is why I called you in the first place. It's... Even you're already coding. You broke the sound barrier to start coding. What do you do? How'd you do that? Hello? Mom? That's nice. Well, I guess it's a good thing she hasn't paid for my membership in like 12 years. I always joke about this debacle that RuneScape throws its new players into. We've got 2 versions. All this time I thought we were special in harassing our new players like this, but WoW has taken me aback. There are not 2 versions. There are not 3 versions. There are 4 versions of World of Warcraft to choose from. And now I'm the one stumped. I'm the new player having to make all these decisions I know nothing about. I don't know if there's any wrong answers here. I don't know if one of these is more expensive or anything about classes. I've never had to play a class before. All these races, does race matter? Is that a question I'm allowed to ask? Is this classic or is that classic? And what is that? Where am I? What do I do with this? And why the hell is there 5 of these? They gave me some book. They already got me doing homework. This is hard. It's stressing me out. I don't know what choice to make. You absolute fool. I'm not making a choice. There's never been a choice to make. I will be playing every single version of World of Warcraft for the very first time. Let's get after it. Up first, we've got retail. To translate for my people, that's their RuneScape 3. The servers with the good, the bad, and the ugly, mostly ugly, shoved into it for the last 20 years. In 2019, they released classic servers separate from the main game. A lot of players call it vanilla. That's what he called it. He's got a whole joke about it. Players got to log on and relive, re-experience their childhood, embracing the nostalgic euphoria. And then in about a week or two, they all snapped out of it because nostalgia cannot carry escapism forever. So that was the first real big launch of new servers, a new game to play. In June 2021, Blizzard released a third game you could play, Classic Burning Crusade servers, their first expansion. You could play that now if you wanted to. You could keep your character in Classic, or you could remember how fun that first expansion was. Come on, you know you want to. So we now had an untouched 2006 version of the game, a 2007 first expansion version of the game, and the main game. Blizzard decided they were going to tend to this middle one, and by tend, I mean basically putting in updates exactly how they happened and the occasional sprinkle of microtransactions. In September 2022, those expansion servers transformed into Wrath of the Lich King, their second expansion, which is where it's at now, but it will soon be turned into their third expansion. I wonder how long they are going to let that time machine continue running. I'm sure everyone's having a great time. And then in November of 2023, we got the Season of Discovery, which is Blizzard dipping their toe in the water of a Classic Plus concept, which is basically exactly what old school RuneScape is, going back to the Classic patch, making it its own game, with its own updates. And I'll be honest, probably not going to talk about the Season of Discovery too much. It's very new. There's not much to it yet. I'll go into it a little bit later, but I'm really not going to be focusing on it. We're going to talk about those mostly. I played them a lot. Played them a lot. A player's first 20 minutes in an MMO are by far the most important, because that first 20 minutes decides if this 20 minutes will turn into an eternal uninstall, or maybe the next 10 years of monthly subscriptions and the occasional microtransaction. Most devs want that second one. No matter which version of WoW you pick to play, you have 3 massively important decisions to make immediately: your server, Horde or Alliance, and your class. And each one of those decisions holds the potential to completely ruin your World of Warcraft experience. But we're new and we don't know that, and we won't figure it out until we're 200 hours in. So let's not think about it too much right now. The first game I tried is Classic, and this here is footage from the very first time I ever logged into World of Warcraft.
Very typical World of Warcraft moment.
It's a typical World of Warcraft moment. This is way better than RuneScape.
Oh yeah, we're gonna be doing this a lot.
My first experience in Northshire, my first interactions, very normal interactions with other players in the game, and I knew right away I was really gonna like Classic.
Which horde did you trade to get 5 gold?
At least I thought this was Classic. This actually turned out to be Wrath of the Lich King Classic, and I didn't know that there were 2 different versions at the time. I meant to do the first one. But when we're talking first impressions, really didn't make a difference. Now this is Classic. The original servers that millions of players remember logging into for the first time. A charmingly warm welcome into the Alliance. No tutorial island, no pop-up hints, just you being dropped in an area filled with cool-looking dudes asking you to do some shit they really don't feel like doing, and then mindlessly agreeing to it. Which is a formula I'm very familiar with. Now, one of my biggest worries going into WoW was this thing right here, because I've never had one before. Every clip I've ever seen of someone using it, there's like 80 rows of these, and they're all over the screen. It looks incredibly intimidating. I didn't know how I was gonna deal with all this, but I'm thinking about it, like, this is 2006. This is the same thing that everybody learned back in the day. They all saw this and conquered it. I can do it, I hope. They introduce you to one ability at a time every other level. You literally need to purchase this new thing you're able to do, which gives you a little more incentive to learn about it. I never really struggled with my ability bar. It was always fine. Do all the quests here until you run out of exclamation points and you start doing them over there. There's not much hand-holding going on, pretty straightforward and linear, and it's enjoyable. It was a nice little system to start out the game. And once I hit level 10, I started going into my specialization. It determines what kind of gear you're going to be searching for moving forward. The new player experience here still works. It was great. I enjoyed it a lot, multiple times. Retail, on the other hand, greets new players a little bit differently. You get to make another decision after your 3 major ones, which is your starting zone. Whether you want to go to your default race classic starting zone, or the all-inclusive, every race, every side, alliance, or horde tutorial island. I did Elwynn Forest in Classic. I wanted to see what this one was all about, so I went there. I started out as a recruit for the Alliance. I was aboard this ship and we were searching for a lost expedition. Definitely much more of a tutorial right off the bat, giving you little baby book pictures of how to use your keyboard and your mouse if it's your first time on a computer. And then you go right into some basic combat tutorials. If you've ever clicked anything before, you might catch on rather quickly, but everything's completely voice acted. It looks beautiful. I loved the way that they made this game look. Very vibrant and pretty. I liked it. The first difference I noticed was the leveling, because there was a lot of it. I was already level 2 after the first quest, which is literally just move around and talk to another guy for a second. In Classic, I had to murder animals to earn that level 2. And then I swung at a guy like 3 times and I was leveled up again. I was immediately rewarded with 2 new abilities that were inserted right into my ability bar. I did not pay for them. I did not ask for them. I suddenly have these 2 things here. Something felt weird about it. After I proved that my mouse and keyboard work, then the real tutorial started. I'm suddenly a part of a shipwreck, a real bad shipwreck. I mean, a disastrous one. But luckily, I wash up on shore. And I kind of have to throw a wrench in this story real quick, Blizzard. There's no universe in which a recruit, essentially an extra in the background, is surviving this. I was put on this ship as an expendable member that they are willing to sacrifice for the greater cause here. There's like 15 other people on this ship that would get life support before me. But we, the recruit, have somehow washed ashore. I don't really know the significance of this island, really. All I know is that they basically speedrun you from level 1 to 10 as they dish out abilities to you like they're fucking Costco samples. I linked up with a bunch of characters, did a bunch of wacky shit with them. They sent me on a helicopter or whatever. I experimented on animals. I made a boar into this giant freak and I used it to commit genocide on people of this native island. Very different experience here than it was in the classic version. And before I could even look up at my screen, congratulations, recruit, you've hit level 10. I know you haven't looked up at that XP bar in about 5 minutes, but yeah, you've been killing it. I fight more things, I level up more, and I get thrown into a dungeon at the end through the infamous dungeon finder. Was it a bad tutorial? No. I just feel like it wasn't all that necessary. It speed runs you to level 10, gets you some decent starter gear, but I don't believe that makes it into a better tutorial because it pushes you farther ahead. Because the tutorial here felt more like play the game. Over here, it felt more like, okay, 10 levels and then you can play the game. I wanted to compare the 2 starting zone options you have as a new player just to see the true difference, the feeling and the pacing of that early levels 1 to 10. The retail Elwynn Forest was definitely faster leveling than Classic's Elwynn Forest. It was definitely not as fast as the tutorial island. I don't think I was even going at half the pace, and I was getting set up with way better gear over there. That island might be a little OP to start. And that might sound dramatic because we're just talking about levels 1 to 10, but this is the new player experience we're talking about. This is supposed to set the tone for the rest of your experience. And it also made me realize if I had played retail before Classic and I picked the island, I wouldn't have gotten to see Elwynn Forest or travel to Stormwind for the first time. My favorite WoW moment was from my first night because I didn't even know what Stormwind was. And my friend Jake, who I pulled back after a 10-year break from the game, walked us to Stormwind. He introduced it and the music on my client happened to sync perfectly with his introduction to it.
This is it. Stormwind.
Whoa.
I loved that. And if you don't go through Elwynn Forest, you just get dropped off at the front gates, which is not the same. Retail also mimics RuneScape 3 in that they panic to get you the fuck out of early level. All Blizzard ever has wanted from you, your gift to them, is not being a shit low-level account. They hate that. They hate that you're not max level right now. Every video game dev deals with this problem at one point or another because it's something that very few games have ever mastered. Progression. There's an old saying that applies to a lot of MMOs, very commonly in this one: the game doesn't start until you hit level 60, or whatever the max level may be. And honestly, I understand why they say that, where that comes from. For me, simply not true. Nothing in any video game beats the euphoric feeling, the dopamine-filled experience of seeing a number that belongs to you go up. Whether you're level 5 or you're level 80, whether it's your gear upgrades or the amount of money that you have on you, if the number's going up, you're happy about it. Every time I got a gear upgrade from the minute I spawned in Northshire, I felt the actual emotion of happy. What else can do that for you over and over again? Legally. What can do that legally to you over and over again? I played Wrath the absolute most out of all games. I got a warrior to level 71 and a paladin to 80, and there was never a level on either of those accounts where I felt like I was at a dead end and there was no possible way for me to get an upgrade or progress myself, because there's so many ways that you can do it. Doing quest lines, gear upgrades. PvP, gear upgrades. Dungeons, gear upgrades. Farming reputation, gear upgrades. Giving Blizzard $15 gear upgrades. And the best part is, I could always feel the upgrades. I haven't touched on plugins much, but they're a big part of the game. And there's one plugin that a lot of players have. It basically shows everyone's DPS in your party. And there's just a very unique feeling of disdain when your role is a DPS and you see your name at the bottom. You get filled with enough guilt to motivate you to go get better shit, which usually means running that dungeon a few more times, being at the bottom of the list. But as soon as you get those upgrades, you can see a visual confirmation of you getting better because your gear is getting better. It's so satisfying. The pacing of Classic from early level to end game just felt nice. It didn't feel too fast and it didn't feel too slow. I still had to work for things and grind a little bit, and I didn't feel stuck there for too long. There was always something to look forward to. The progression system that I experienced in Wrath just felt really rewarding, and the pacing was great all the way up until I hit level 80, which is ironic because a lot of WoW players will tell you that you don't even start the game until you hit level 80. When I hit 80, I watched my XP bar disappear right before my eyes, and a whole new progression system began. Once you hit max level, you can now wear max level shit, and you are now pushed into a whole new complicated hole that you will just keep digging deeper and deeper. You're grinding pre-raid best in slot so that you can get to phase 1 best in slot, and then phase 2 and 3 until you've got the gear so that you can play a proper role in the end game raids and get your true best in slot. And do you want to know how long that takes? Well, you gotta ask someone else, because I have no idea. I didn't do it. Shit just got complicated, dude. I mean, I was plugging my gear into a website that tells you what you need to do next and how to get it, where to do it, which usually involved looking for a 40-man raid for a chance at getting something, or doing some beta dungeon, whatever the hard difficulty is, or grinding reputation for a group of people I did one quest for one time and they need to see me as a god so I can buy a shoulder enchantment. I feel like all the levels before max is more of like a sandboxy feel of getting the gear that you feel like getting, what looks cooler. But once you hit max level, it's like a straight path that you have to follow. I don't think everyone feels that way, but that's how I felt going in. I felt like I had to follow this website and get the good gear. Otherwise, I mean, what else am I doing? I started to not feel motivated to log into the game, which sucked because I had such a fun journey to the max level. It was always fun looking forward to being a little bit stronger, or going to a new area. And suddenly I was just in the same area all the time, doing the same dungeons with the same people, and it just felt really repetitive and not very exciting. What I'm trying to say here is that once I hit max level, it almost felt like the game had finished. But I just wasn't really into that grind as much. We didn't even get to explore the whole map. I still haven't even seen every region in Wrath. But when we hit level 80, why would I be going to the old zones? There's nothing for me there. My low-level grinds are far from over because I enjoyed it a lot and I look forward to doing it again. Some of the most fun I've ever had in a video game. progression in retail kind of coincides with the story that they toss you into, but I have a whole section for the story after this, so I'm gonna try and just focus on the progression side of things. And the reason that they speedrun you to level 10 and drop you off at the front gates of Stormwind is because that's a requirement to start Battle of Azeroth. And Battle of Azeroth is a requirement to start World of Warcraft, not optional. You have to do it, don't question it. Welcome to our 2017 expansion. I hope you have fun. We'll check back in with you later. As soon as I jump into this expansion and get thrown into this Kultiris place, everything I've ever known about progression is suddenly out the window. I am getting significant gear upgrades every quest. Not only that, but what in the fucking inflation is this? What is that? Every NPC that gives a quest reward is giving me dump trucks worth of gold. I mean, I'm loaded. I can sell junk items to vendors for like hundreds of gold at a time. I'm getting all the abilities shoved in. They have a new way of doing specializations, which I actually like. I get to mess around more. You can switch them up whenever. I don't even remember dying in retail. You're basically a walking god. I mean, I'm hacking and slashing my way through giant poles of mobs with no consequences. And while I'm doing that, it hits me that nobody here has called me a recruit in a while, which made me realize they're not talking about my military rank, they're talking about the difficulty of the game. So I'm soaring through this confusing quest line at what could only be a record pace. I was leveling so fast, I would go multiple levels without realizing that I had in fact leveled up. It just became more and more apparent as I went along that even though the devs forced me to come here, they really just didn't want me there at all. This lightning fast leveling is all they wanted. It's basically Blizzard saying, look, you're a new guy, you don't know shit about shit. We're gonna bring you to probably the prettiest place that we can send you until you hit level 60, and then you can come experience content that we've actually paid attention to, which I completely understand. But the problem with that is the more I did Battle of Azeroth, the more pointless it felt. All these characters I was meeting and villages I was helping, it was all just a big sham, serving as my XP boost to level 60 to take me to Dragonland, possibly as a punishment. But I do as many quests as I can, I try and get involved in the story a little bit, but sure enough, the second I hit 60, right on cue, my pager's going off, and I'm getting contacted from people in Stormwind, begging me and pleading me to return and start the Dragon Chronicles. And so I did. I went back to Stormwind, I got to the Dragon place, I think I leveled up like once or twice, and then I logged out, because I realized that through that entire experience, I had yet to talk to a single other human, even once.
This is the best day ever.
Haha. Looking back on retail, I think the best way to describe the progression of that game is there is none, because it never felt like I was progressing. I mean, that's just the way that it's built. Everywhere you go, mobs are scaling up with you. I'm level 32, they're level 32. If I'm 54, they're 54. I never become stronger than the mobs unless you go to like early game areas, which is just irrelevant. As I level up, I'm noticing that the monsters are just getting more annoying to kill. They just make them hit harder and have more health. Simply longer combat interactions. I never felt like I was getting stronger. I never felt like my new abilities were doing what they were supposed to do because they had more health to deal with it. And it was kind of annoying. Getting upgrades and not feeling like you got upgrades had to be the least satisfying thing I felt in any of the games. I never got to max level in retail, so I don't really know what the end game is like. It could be miles better than classic. I just never got there. By the time I got to 60 and just didn't have anyone playing with me, realizing that I had done the whole journey alone, I just didn't feel motivated to keep going, which kind of sucks because more than anything, I was really looking forward to the story. You ever try watching all of the Avengers movies, starting from Iron Man, going all the way to the very last ones that were made? I've tried that so many times, and I usually make it about 3 or 4 movies in. There's so many stories you need to tell, and there's so much explanation that needs giving. It's a lot easier to understand the Avengers series if you watch them as they came out. You experienced them at the same time as everyone else, and you were just anticipating the next movie. But if you've never watched them, and you're trying to take it all in, catch up. It's kind of miserable. I know some people can do that. I can't do it. I knew going in that WoW has an incredibly dense and really cool story. I really can't begin to tell you how disappointed I was to experience World of Warcraft's story in Classic and Retail. Classic kind of starts you off as just, you're a nobody. You've got no accomplishments, no milestones, no one knows you. You're just a guy trying to do his part and help out. You're just a very small thing in this very big world that has a lot more important things going on than you. The Elwyn Forest quest line, starting in Northshire, going to Goldshire, helping out the locals with their little Kebble problems, heading to the Alliance capital and helping some folks out around there, taking on your first mini-boss Hogger. I don't like saying his name out loud. It upsets me. You head to Westfall, start helping out the locals there, and doing your first dungeon, the Dead Mines, where you face your first real antagonist, Edwin Van Cleefus. It's just Van Cleef, but Cleefus sounds cooler. And that's where you have your first real accomplishment as a character. It's your first significant thing that you've done. And from there, well, I mean, that's kind of where they lost me. World of Warcraft quests are built for you to not give a fuck. The way the quest pops up allows you to press accept instantly, accept the reward instantly. It's just begging you to not give a fuck. All of them are either fetch these things or kill a bunch of those. No matter what thing you're fetching or thing you're killing, it all eventually blends together into the same quest. It was hard to focus on anything lore related because I knew when I went to the next area, I would just be doing the exact same thing I was doing in the last area. My thing is questing. And I'm really glad it's in the game that I've been doing the questing on, and not this one, because the series would be a lot more boring if I did it on WoW. It is not encouraging you to read. I even went as far as downloading a plugin that uses AI voice generators of the actual characters' voices to read all the dialogue out loud. It just adds a little more sound to the boring thing you're doing. Most of the lore is revealed before, during, and after dungeons and raids. That's when the big significant things are happening in the world. That's where you can pay attention to what the characters are saying and then what's happening around you. If it were single player. Because when I get a group for a dungeon, that's the last thing I'm doing. Hey guys, you mind holding on a second? I'm not going AFK, I'm right here, but I gotta listen to what this NPC's saying real quick. Just gonna see how this plays out back here in this lore that happened 15 years ago. I would find myself outside the dungeon, kicked from the group. I'm not gonna put a pause to these people's day. Funny enough, the thing that gave me the most context for the world that I was running around in did not come from any version of the MMO. It actually came from Warcraft 3. It was a complete unintentional discovery. I started seeing all these things I recognized from the MMO. I learned all about Prince Arthas and his origin story. Very bright young man, great future ahead for him. I saw Jaina Proudmoore. She wasn't getting arrested immediately the first time I ever saw her. Learned about the Burning Legion. Those guys are up to no good. Illidan Stormrage. That guy's a badass. Miss Whisperwind. There's just a bunch of cool shit happening in that game. After I played it, and I started questing again in Wrath, there was a scene that played out in some side quest in Northrend. It was something that happened with the same voice lines in the same way that it happened in Warcraft 3, but it's from a new MMO perspective, and now it's cool for me. It just felt like the moment came to life, and then realizing that doing the Culling of Stratholme fucking dungeon was actually a mission that I went through with, playing as Arthas, and now I was boots on the ground on the front lines with him, doing that. It made the war crime so much cooler. And granted, Warcraft 3 didn't teach me everything about the world of Warcraft, but it gave me more context into this world I was running around in. I knew more about certain characters, I knew the origins of certain places that existed. It just enhanced the overall immersion of running around the world doing these quests that started to feel repetitive. The fact that I did have to go play a whole different game to understand the world more and feel that immersion, you shouldn't have to do that. I know some people say the books are really good for lore. I haven't checked them out myself. If you've read any of the books and recommend them, let me know. Maybe they suck and one of you will save me. Classic has a very old school way of telling the story where you kind of have to force yourself to be more invested in the story if you want to understand it. I will say, this is something that they actually did make a big effort to improve on. Now, since RuneScape 3 has microtransactions, transmog, and the story going for it, I was very excited to see how Retail told their story. And unfortunately, it has Far too many of them. On top of all of the original content from the launch of the game in 2004, World of Warcraft has had 9 expansions full of new areas, new races, new quests, new storylines, catastrophic events that change the entire video game. There is so much that has happened. Me pulling up to retail with intent of understanding the world is a lot like a baby strolling up to understand anything. This is a terrible metaphor. Blizzard sees new players as nothing more than babies. They arrive knowing 0 things, they've contributed nothing, and they're annoying because you have to teach them shit now. Blizzard hates babies, is what I'm going for here. It's just never going to be easy for a new player to understand the lore of World of Warcraft after everything that's happened. I could do as much research and read the books as much as I want. I could make myself a Quizlet to really make sure I nail down the hard facts of how this universe was formed. But what I came to realize is MMO stories are not like other stories. They're their own thing, their own genre, their own structure and format. A universe like World of Warcraft is not going to be like the Avengers universe or the Harry Potter or Star Wars universe that can be told. MMO stories are something that you have to experience. It's the old expression, you had to be there. And I wasn't there. Well, hold on a second. What about that feature that Blizzard put in, letting you experience all the expansions? Oh, you mean Chromie, one of the jankiest, nonsensical systems ever put into a video game ever. 5 times I have tried to experience the expansions in World of Warcraft through Chromie, a system designed to let you go experience all of these. Whether you're a veteran player who just wants some nostalgia and wants to do the stories again to level up your character, or you're a new player and you want to experience them chronologically or something, and every single time, without fail, it somehow broke. Let's say you enter the Legion timeline. Even though you've somehow transported to this new dimension, you are really not transported anywhere. All the exclamation points and the quests of the current timeline are still there, waiting for you to fuck it all up. The battle for Azeroth needs you so bad, we were willing to time travel backwards with you to ask for your help again. Like, you can really screw your game up. At one point, I had 3 Anduins in Stormwind Keep in different rooms. Cutscenes were playing so out of order, and I had no idea what was going on. I was paralyzed. And not to mention, when you do pick a new timeline to experience, you're often phased, which means you're only gonna see other players that are also in your timeline, which is usually, even in the most populated servers, nobody. You are alone. You have just transformed into a single-player video game. It's one thing to play an MMO like it's single-player, but when you literally see nobody else and it feels like an actual single-player game in this giant universe, it feels creepy. It actually made me miss seeing Moonguard Goldshire. Seeing that place empty was weird. I really did try Chromie. I was excited to try because I did want to experience all these expansions. I waited a long time to play World of Warcraft. I wanted to know the stories. And even if I did have a smooth Chromie experience, it was still an MMO expansion. Nobody remembers experiencing those things without other people around them. People discovering new areas at the same time, fighting new mobs at the same time, going into new dungeons and raids together for the first time, having their world at the time changed in a major way. There's a lot more to the Warcraft story than just facts on a timeline. This is one of the biggest gaming universes ever created, and the story goes far beyond just the NPCs and the areas being put into the game. There was stuff that wasn't added by the devs. There's something about being a part of that expansion as it happens that just can't be told. Unless you start releasing the expansions again. But even then, it's just not going to be the same. I am a hero. I am a champion. How did I earn these titles? Don't worry about it. They wouldn't be calling me that if it weren't true, would they? What? You can do a lot at level 10. I talk about this whole hero concept a lot because I personally believe that players should not be that. I think that's kind of boring. It's predictable, it's linear, it's just not relatable. Most people do like 2 heroic things in their life, and after they do it, No one's calling you a champion. You just go home to the same house, making the same money. Your boss doesn't think you're a hero because you clocked in late. When I walk into Stormwind Castle and talk to whoever may be king at the time, I want them to look at me with no trust and no faith. No matter what I've done in the past, I want the king to feel like they are rolling the dice every time they send me on an important mission. No earning ranks or titles. The title of champion doesn't make me hit harder, does it? Don't call me a champion, just get me a cooler sword. But yeah, you're just by default a hero. I went in and tested this because I was really curious how you're supposed to be inducted into this title. When you start out and you go to the tutorial island, they're calling you recruit. You know, you just got here. You've done nothing.
Bold new recruit.
Recruit. All right, recruit. Good to see you, recruit.
When you finish the tutorial and you get dropped off at Stormwind, there's two ways you can go about it. There's a continue tutorial route, and then there's a skip tutorial route. If you continue on the tutorial route, they'll still refer to you as recruit. If you skip the rest of the tutorial, you are now a hero immediately. Something you have no idea about has happened between you walking across the bridge into Stormwind.
Champion.
You've done something
Champion.
very significant, apparently. No matter which way you went, as soon as you get to Kultiris, you are again a champion hero guy. The recruit thing has just been abandoned entirely. It actually became like a bit as I was playing through the story of everyone looking up to me and claiming I've done these amazing things as if they've got the wrong guy. It kind of made the story a little funny. It's not the way they intended it to play out. Battle of Azeroth. It was honestly pretty cool. Didn't understand a singular thing happening. The initial cutscene of Jaina being arrested by her mom. I don't know what Jaina did. I don't know the story. I even tried looking it up. I don't think I found what I was looking for. You're just supposed to know this terrible thing that Jaina Proudmoore did to her mother and all her people because she got arrested. That was enough proof. But I liked Kultiris. I think it had a lot of pretty places. Each section of it has its own wacky shit show going on that you are suddenly responsible for fixing. A lot of the characters were really goofy. I liked a lot of their dialogue. It was a nice change up from Classic because they figured out a way to make these fetch and kill quests more immersive. Every fetch and every kill felt like it served a purpose. One of the first things you do is infiltrate a bad guy camp and save children from being child labor slaves. You know, you're going and interacting with something a certain amount of times, but you're saving children. And you went and got intel and you fought little bosses in there. It felt more quest-like. And also, I got to shoot a cannon down at pirates like it was 1944 Normandy Beach, which was awesome. There was also a part where I got to do some crazy stuff in a robot. That was cool. It kept crashing my game, but it was cool while I did get to do it. I got some witch hunter people together. I raided a witch town. That was cool. There was good little mini stories here and there. There was some like war thing happening where you go and invade little islands. I didn't really understand that part too much. But it gave me rewards sometimes. Even though I leveled multiple characters through the Battle of Azeroth, I never got to finish it because the leveling happens so fast that you only get to help out like some of the villages before you're level 60 and everything just feels pointless. I wanted to leave. Everything just feels very drawn out because you know that you can leave at any time and start something cooler. And not to mention, as soon as you hit 60, you are again bombarded with NPCs you've never met, begging you to return to Stormwind and start the dragon quests. They're way cooler than what you're doing now. Kultiris can figure out all the rest of this stuff on their own. I'm sure they'll be fine. Just come on home. Dragonflight, their most recent expansion, I don't understand it at all. It's filled with a bunch of characters that I don't know. Fucking floating rhinos. I didn't get to experience a lot of Dragonflight. I don't know. I wasn't really into it. That's about all the story I experienced. I hope Kultiris will be all right. I deserted them and didn't do the thing I deserted them for. So, probably not the best guy in their eyes. I had a lot of fun with the WoWs. World of Warcrafts, it's plural. But what I am most looking forward to is how they move forward with Season of Discovery. It's their chance to redo the timeline. When you have the opportunity to literally time travel, you should probably take the opportunity. Imagine getting to make World of Warcraft again. Classic Plus has the biggest appeal to me because All the stuff I was talking about with not getting to experience the expansions and just kind of feeling out of the loop, this is the opportunity to create a new timeline that everybody, veteran and new players, get to experience together. Releasing old expansions doesn't really do this, but releasing brand new expansions or areas that have never been experienced by anybody before, that's the way to do it. It's taken a long time for WoW to figure out what is a smart move. Classic Plus really does look like the future of World of Warcraft. So I think my final verdict here, if you're a new player looking to try World of Warcraft, if you're playing with your buddies who are just as committed as you are, look to the two classic options. Kind of balance out which one you want. One's a little faster, one's a little more grindier, but more rewarding. If you're by yourself, try retail, because there is a lot more opportunity with story. I personally did go in and try those original Elwyn Forest Westfall quests, and they really did polish a lot of that stuff, and maybe you'll have more luck than I did. Maybe you're a lot more competent than me at setting Chromie up and following the storylines. That's all I got on it, I think. It was a good time. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a party to attend.